last week we talked about this, right? So for accounting, we introduced three major items, right? Assets, liability, and equities. So what is equities? Equities, we talk about shareholders' right in the company. So how much the bosses have in the company, right? Okay, so there's equity. We talk about the bosses, the owners, their right in the company. Their right in the company, we have two major items, two major rights your bosses have in the company. First is what? Share capital. Remember, what is share capital, Guben? We talk about the right they have in the company. So what kind of right they have from share capital? Remember? Amounts paid in by shareholders. So what does it mean? We talk about how much money they put in the company. So we talk about how much money they invested in the company, right? So amount invested by your owners, shareholders, right? Okay, so first right is about their investment in the company. Today I want to talk about the second right they have in the company. The second right is retained earnings, 保留盈余. But before we talk about the second right, before that, I want to tell you other things first. So what are the other things? Is revenues, okay? So what is revenues? Revenues means when you sell the product to customers, provide the service to customers, how much money you could earn from customers. That's revenues, okay? So revenues, we talk about you earn the money income from customers. For example, if today you want to sell the iPhone 14 to customers, okay? For example, if this is you, company, you want to sell iPhone 14 to customer. Okay? So when you try to sell iPhone 14 to customers, if I told you the selling price is $100, okay? So today you sell iPhone 14 to customers. You try to earn the money from customers. How much money you try to earn from customers? $100, right? So for that $100, you try to earn the money from customers. We call it revenues. 收入, okay? So these revenues, because you sell the product, then we call it sales revenue. 销货收入. Okay, sell the products to customers. You try to earn revenues from customers. So for these kind of situations, we call it sales revenue, 销货收入. Okay? But you should note, companies, they try to earn revenues from customers, not only by selling products, right? You still could do what? Provide the service. So you are not sell the product, you provide the service. Like what? You take the bus. So they provide the service to you, deliver you to other places, right? So it's not about the product, it's about the service. So for this kind of situation, if Your company provide a service to customer. So provide service to, provide service to customer. Okay, and how much money you ask for the service? Maybe the money you ask for the service is $50 for service. Okay, so for this kind of situation, this $50 still is revenue. Any money you want to earn from customers, we call it revenues. But this case, second case, is not about products, it's about service. So we are going to use another name to describe the situation. So the other name we call it service revenue. "服务收入." Okay. So you try to earn the revenues from customers. Two kind of revenues we have. First is sales revenue. Second is service revenue. Okay? But nothing for free. You want to earn the revenues from customers. Always, you have some costs happen, right? Like what? If you have a part-time job, like you teach math or you teach English, so you try to have a part-time job in some children's place to earn the revenues, right? But what money you had to pay? In order to go to the place, you have to take the bus, take the taxi, right? So maybe you have to pay some bus fee, right? So in order to earn the revenues, nothing for free, you have to pay something. So for this kind of situation, in order to earn the revenues, you have some expenses, some costs happened. You have to pay some money. For that, we call it expense, 费用. So what is expenses? In order to earn the revenues, nothing for free. So you have to pay some cost. For that, we call it expenses. Okay? So you have some expenses incurred. Expenses incurred in order to earn revenue. Okay? Because nothing for free. So let you guess what kind of expenses we will have in order to earn revenues from customers. If you sell the product to customers, what you should have? Products, right? So before you sell products to customers, you need a product. How to get the product? Produce the product, right? When you try to produce the products, you need the employees work for you, right? So what kind of expenses we could have? Salaries and wages expenses. So what kind of expenses? You hire employees work for you. You ask employees to produce the product to you. So do you need to pay some money to employees? Yes, right? So there's one of quite common normal expenses we will have. Salaries and wages expense. They happen because you hire employees, work for you. Okay, what else? You want to do the business. Do you need an office? Yes, right? You need an office to contact the customer. You need an office to let your employees work for you, right? So, in order to get the office, maybe you need to pay some money to rent the office. Like what? If you don't have a house, then you should pay the rent. Like if you live in dorm, do you need to pay the rent? Yes, right? So we have our rent expenses, 租金费用. Why? Because you rent a house, you rent the office. So this kind of expenses happened because you rent an office. So that's right. You have this kind of expenses cost happen. What else we could have? Interest expenses. Remember, interest is about what? You owe the money to whom? What's your name? Steve. Steve. Steve or Steven? Steven. Okay. Steven. Interest expenses incur because of what? You borrow money from creditors, right? Because when you try to produce the products, you need the money to buy the materials. You need the money to hire employees. When you need the money, you don't have enough money. Maybe you decide to borrow money from creditors, but always nothing for free. When you try to borrow money from creditors, which means what? You need to pay more money back, right? So that more money back, we call it interest expense. So for example, when you borrow money maybe, for example, $50. So what if today you borrow $50 from creditors? Okay, in this case, how much money you should pay back? Pay back more than 50, right? So maybe you pay back 50 plus maybe 2. So you pay back 50 plus $2. So for that $2, we call it interest expense. Okay, so interest expense, which means the more money you should pay back. Any questions? Hi, hello, you two guys. Please move forward to the front seats. Don't sit in the last 3 rows of seats, please. Thank you. So any questions for interest expense? The money you should pay more, that we call it interest expense. Okay? Any questions, please ask anytime. Okay? Then what else? What kind of expenses we could have in order to earn revenues from customers? You know, utility expenses. What's that? Like we use the electricity, we use the water. So you use the electricity, you use the water, so we have to pay the money each month, which is utility expense. So utility expense, when you use the water and electricity, so when you use electricity and water, 每个月用的水啊、电啊。So there's another kind of expenses we could have. What else? So many. Like advertising expense, what's that? You know, when you try to sell the products, you need to promote your products, right? So when you try to promote your products, you have to pay some kind of advertising expenses. So try to promote or marketing your product. Okay, how about insurance expense? Do you have insurance? Yes, everyone have insurance. You have at least student insurance, 学生保险, right? When you get into this school, we ask you to buy the insurance, student insurance. So when you buy the insurance, so that's why we have insurance expense. To make sure when you have some problems, you got some money back, right? So like what? For example, your student insurance, 学生保险。Okay, any questions? Still, we have a lot of different kind of expenses. Okay, so right now we understand revenues, we understand expenses. So could you tell me, when you sell the product to customers, try to earn the sales revenues from customers, $100. Is it the real money you get? No, because the real money you get, put it into your pocket, is not the revenues. What's the money you really get when you do the business? After you consider about expenses, okay? So for example, if today you sell the products to customers, okay? So you sold iPhone 14 to customer. Okay, then if we assume iPhone 14, the selling price is 100. But you know, nothing for free, right? In order to sell the product to customers, to earn the selling price $100, we have different kind of expenses incurred, right? For example, what's that? You need to hire employees to work for you, right? So you have to pay what? Salaries and wages expenses. You need to rent an office, so you have rent expenses, for example. Or you need to promote your products, so you have advertising expenses, so on, so on. So in order to get that $100, if I told you you incurred salaries and wages expense is $10. You rent the office, so you have a rent expense, which is $20. If you try to promote your products, so you have an advertising expense, $5. Okay? Could you tell me for that $100 what we call? Which name we use for that $100? Which name we use? Yeah, what's your name? Sorry? Your number? 6A? Tan Wan Lu, right? Oh, you're not here last week, right? Okay. Yeah. What we call for the $100? What kind of revenue? We have two kind of revenues. Sales revenue. When we sell the product, we earn the sales revenue, right? When you provide a service, we earn service revenue. So which we call sales revenue. Okay? So in order to earn the $100 sales revenue, we have 3 expenses incurred. Could you tell me the true money, what's the real amount of money you earned, you got? You could put it into your pocket. Roy. $60, right? 60? $65. Okay, thank you. $65, right? Why? Because don't forget, even though you earn $100 from customers, you have to pay $10, $25. So real money you can get from this transaction, this business is, don't forget to consider this kind of expenses. Okay? So $100 is the sales revenue. Sales revenue, $100. But don't forget, you have these 3 expenses, right? Right here. Salaries and wages expense. $10. Rent expense. $20. Advertising expense. $5. So what's the true amount of money you can get? Only 100 minus 10 minus 20 minus 5. You got 65. Okay? For this $65, we call it net income. So net income, actually, that's your profit. Net income, we call it 净利. Okay, any questions? So what's the true amount of money you really get? You could put it into your pocket. You could use it whatever you want. Actually, only $65. Okay? So $65 is the real amount of money you got. Then you could put it into your pocket and you could use it whatever. Okay? So 65, that's the true amount you got. Okay, any questions? So for this $65, the company earned the profit to whom? For whom? The company belong to whom? Shareholders, right? Shareholders is the true boss. So any profit, any money you earn belong to whom? The boss. Okay? So don't forget, the true amount you got means what? Shareholder. Okay? Because they are the true boss, true owner. So the company make any profit for their boss, for their owners, which means they are shareholders. So true amount you got means shareholders. So that money, $65, belong to shareholder. Because they are the boss, they are the owners. So of course the company belong to them, the money belong to them. Okay, any questions? So for this $65 belong to the shareholders, belong to the boss. Will we give all the money to shareholders today? You earn the profit, $65, belong to the boss. Yeah, correct, belong to the boss. But will the company give all the money, $65 to shareholder? No. Why? Because companies still need the money to do the business next year. Well, companies still need the money to hire employees, still need the money to buy the materials. So even though all the money belongs to the shareholders, but we won't give all our money to shareholders because we still need the money for next year. Okay? So based on that, what if you decide for this $65, you decide just share part of them to shareholders and keep some money in the company? Okay, so for this $65, what if I decide to give the shareholders only for this $65, I decide share profit with shareholders only $25. Okay, so the remaining how much? 65 minus 25. So which means $40 I decide to keep in the company. Okay? Totally $65 belong to the shareholders. So I want to share the profit to shareholders only 25 because I still want to keep 25. I still want to keep $40 in the company. Why? Because I need the money to do the business next year. Okay? So for that $25, I share the profit with shareholders, what we called dividends, 股利. Okay? So for that $25, we call it dividends, 股利. Any questions so far? Okay. How about that $40? We keep it in the company. We call it retained earnings. Okay, we call it retained earnings. "保留盈余"。保留盈余 means what? 保留在公司的 profit。Okay, any questions? So that's the second part we want to talk, retained earnings. So still, retained earnings $40 in the company, but still belong to shareholders. So that's why shareholders' right in the company, second part is $40, retained earnings. Okay, any questions? No problem. Okay. Are you done already? Okay. So that's the second major item I want to talk about, retained earnings. So let's go back to equity. So what's equity? Equity means shareholders' right in the company, right? So we go back to here. Equity, shareholders' right in the company. We have two major shareholders' rights in the company. First, we call it share capital. Second, we call it retained earnings. Okay? So based on these two, I use one example to tell you. Make sure you understand it. So for example, today we have the company. For this company, your company, someday we have investors. So this is investor. Okay? So investors, they try to invest it in your company, put some money in your company because they think you are the good company. So they are willing to spend their own money and put it into your company. So they use their money and put the money into your company. So invest it in your company. Okay, how much? Maybe $100. When they invest, put the money into your company. So where is the money? They $100 right now in your company, right? So in your company, you have the $100. So right now, this $100 in your company, this one, we call it what? Share capital, right? So what does that mean? Share capital means investor put their money in your company. So the $100, we call it share capital. 股本. Since shareholders, investor put the money in your company, so investor, shareholder become your boss, right? So right now, they become your boss, shareholders. Good. Okay, so what does it mean? It means right now the company belong to them, right? Belong to shareholders. So when your company do some business, the money belong to shareholders. So right now, since your company got the money, you use the money trying to produce the product, trying to hire employees, okay? Trying to earn the revenues from customers, okay? So what if after you got the money, you use the money to produce the product? So what if you use it to sell the product to customers, try to earn sales revenue, $50. But don't forget, nothing for free, right? In order to earn that revenue from customers, you have some expenses, cost happen, right? So what kind of expenses, cost? Maybe interest expense. $5. Maybe rent expense. $2. Okay? Maybe salaries and wages expense. $10. So based on these, remember, what's the real profit you got after consider expense, right? So the real profit you got, we call it net income. How much it is? $50 minus 5 minus 2 minus 10. So it should be 33, right? 33. $33 belong to whom? Belong to shareholders. But we decide share some profit to shareholders. So for that, we decide to share some profit to shareholders. So share the profit to shareholders. How much it is? Maybe $20. Okay? So you share the profit $20 to shareholders. For that $20, what we call dividends, right? Dividends means you give the money to shareholders. So that $20, we call it dividends. Could you tell me, after this, that $20, where you could find out that $20? Where? In company or in shareholders' pocket? Which one? Where you could find out that $20? In the company or in shareholders' pocket? Shareholders' pocket, right? Why? Because you give that $20 to shareholders already. So where you could find out the $20? in shareholders' pocket. So here in their pocket, you will find out they $20. Okay? Then, how much still in the company? $30 after $20. How much money you still keep in the company? $13, right? So after that, we still have $13 in the company. So there's $13 in the company. What we called there's $13. Retained earnings, right? 保留盈余。Okay? Based on this, could you tell me how much money in the company belong to shareholders? In the company right now, how much money belong to shareholders? Anyone? Anyone? How much money in the company belong to shareholders? Look at this case. $20 in the company. $20 where? In shareholders' pocket already. We focus on only in the company. 100 in the company, right? Belong to whom? Shareholder, because that's their money. They just put it in your company. What else? Don't forget, $13 in the company belong to whom? Shareholders. Okay? So how much money belong to shareholders in the company? 100 plus $13. Okay? So that's right. Equity, we have two major parts, right? First major part is what? Share capital. So second major part is retained earnings. So based on this, could you tell me equity? So what's equity? Shareholders' right in the company should have two major parts, right? What is that? First, share capital. Plus, second, retained earnings. Okay, so how much it is? 100 plus 13. So it should be 113. Okay? How about that $20? Don't worry, they got it already. So they $20 in their pocket already. But equity, we talk about everything happened in the company. Remember, we want to know what's going on in the company. We want to know it's good or bad apple. So we want to know all the situation in the company. Any questions? Okay. We stop here. Later when we come back, I'll give you some time to practice it. So think about it. Any part you don't understand, please come. Okay? So take a break.